Welcome to the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway, and usually I might try to tell you that this reconfigured 1.5 mile super speedway almost is still the same old Atlanta underneath, but it is far from the same old Atlanta underneath. We all know that now. 28 degrees of banking in those big, wide, sweeping turns, 1, 2, 3, and 4. But hey, it's still here in virtual Hampton, Georgia, now on iRacing for us to enjoy. It feels a bit like Daytona in a way, a bit like Talladega, a bit like Charlotte, all rolled into one. And it is round number 5's site for the UFL Elite Series. It's the Firelight 150 on Pit Stop TV. Thanks for joining me. And I say me this evening, it looks like no Zach Murtis. Unfortunately, he is under the weather, so we wish him the best and hope that he is feeling better ahead of his weekend of racing, rather, up at BAPS in Pennsylvania this weekend. So yeah, definitely out in the comments, wish him some better health, I guess, later this week, and hopefully he gets to feeling better before the weekend. Well, there's a lot I could try and say about Atlanta Motor Speedway. I think the best way to show kind of what we're expecting this evening is just to get on the racetrack here in a moment, and we will do exactly that in about 2 more moments, something like that. And there we go. The Firelight 150 from Atlanta Motor Speedway. We've got a few different winners this season, a lot to talk about as far as all that goes, and let's just jump right into things. The standings this evening, and these are accurate, by the way. Last week I was kind of unsure of things. These are accurate. The playoff grid as it sits, with the 12 that are currently in, the 8 and more that are currently out. But all the way down through Ryan Pistana, this is your top 20 with adjustments, of course, for the 4 that have won a race: Matt Kemp, Zach Nichols, Ryan Vargas, and Michael Frisch. And Leighton Seville picks up a position last week at Rockingham, moves up to the 5th spot in points. He is sporting Corey Heim's colors, as Corey Heim is suspended this week, along with Jake Fisher in the number 84. So Fisher is going to get a whole lot closer to that cut line, and Corey Heim will be outside of the top 20 more than likely after this evening. Some big implications there, and dare I say, playoff or championship implications potentially down the road. Your standings in front of you. It's also worth mentioning, by the way, Ryan Pistana and Cy Bowen had the 2 largest gains last week at Rockingham. Sean Butler, the biggest loss, as he dropped from 11th inside the playoffs to 16th, 14 points out. Let's take a look at the track map this evening here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Nothing too surprising. It is a quad oval, 28-degree banking in the corners. The fastest Cup Series lap time in iRacing official qualifying is a 31.125, and we are actually pretty close to that, 31.240 so far. Fastest in qualifying set by Aaron Smith, and of course we'll be lapping in the high 29s once these guys are drafting and up to speed. 12 cars with a time, no, 15 cars now with a time so far in this session. Here's a look at Zach Nichols, finally has a win now after Rockingham last week. Let's ride on board with the new driver's iCam here with Zach Nichols under his qualifying attempt. Nichols down to the bottom side of the front stretch across the start-finish line, and that begins lap number 2 for driver 45. So that was lap 1, up on the top side of the racetrack, as high, wide, and handsome as he could be. And now he's right down on this double white and red line, taking a very shallow exit and entry to each corner. And this camera I love so much. We recently got this from Whiplash Media sim cams in the past week or so, and well, since Rockingham last week, and it really has improved things. You can see qualifying times running out is actually Adam Kodal, new driver in the field. He is looking like he will start 4th, and Zach Nichols qualifies 7th quickest. Leighton Seville also on the track. Seville across the line on number 25, carrying Corey Heim's colors, and Seville will now jump up to the 7th spot. Nobody else on the racetrack, as 17 cars have turned a time, and that looks to take us to the end of our qualifying session. Austin Moore, Andrew Schwartz, Gabe Herschel, David Cabrera, Timmy Pacioli, Jonathan Taylor, Anthony Rotolo, Matt Wishart, Tristan Hagenstein, Sean Farr, Jonathan Palmieri, Paul Fode, Barrett Polhemus, Eric Webler, Chris Wetz, Matthew Stalknut, Jake Fluman, Ford Martin, and Doug Denice, all drivers that do not qualify for the race, but of course will start. They've qualified in, I should say. They are not taking a qualifying time in that 5-minute session. So it looks like 35 or 36 starters this evening for the Firelight 150. And a big shout out to Firelight Esports, and I guess technically it's now Firelight LLC. They're making some big moves up in the world. There aren't many esport teams that come with that LLC tag, and I'm excited to see what Josh Styles and everybody over there at Firelight is able to do. The ownership group expanding recently to include Noah Sweet, or Lefty as you may know him, and of course he's heavily involved in the racing industry these days via graphic design and puts out some fantastic paint schemes, and some say he should design most of the field. Hey, maybe one day he's able to do that. Cars already, oh yes, we'll do the warm-up session. I was going to say, cars already rolling off the grid. Not quite yet, as we have 5 minutes of warm-up here, and an opportunity to get a little more acquainted with the field. Acquainted, rather. And there's Leighton Zbile, we just saw at the back end of qualifying, along with Manon Rahman in car 44, Cody Williams behind them in car 16. How about that new guy up towards the front of the order in qualifying, Adam Kodal? We'll see if he's on track in car 04. Brand new, and yes, there he is. At least brand new this season. We don't have a number graphic for him, so we'll see what he can do. Of course, there's kind of an asterisk to this evening, being that it's at this brand new Atlanta Motor Speedway. We know that it's just wide open, it's drafting, but there's a little more technique that goes into it. Now, we don't have to deal with the brand new NASCAR pit road commitment line, thankfully. I think that would be a little disastrous in some cases, but we do still have the track as it is. And here's a look on board. Gabe Herschel. It is a draft track. It is a mini super speedway. And there's a lot of asterisks, I think, that come with that as these guys snake through some slower cars. Christian Eckes, Manon Rahman. Looks like Tristan Hagenstein, Leighton Zbile. Definitely, it's going to feel a bit like Daytona, a bit like Auto Club, a bit like Las Vegas. I think all rolled into one so far from this season. And Hagenstein, he's going to go around, and others will be collected. This is an opportunity to see exactly what these guys can do, I think, in not so much racing conditions. I think this is kind of extreme that we would see just a few cars lined up like this. But technically, yes, this would be racing conditions. These guys on their own around the racetrack right now with just a few cars around them. Again, we'll see pack racing. This feels a bit more like extreme. Maybe if we get green flag pit stops, this would be considered racing conditions. But this is far from what we expect this evening here on the high banks of Atlanta Motor Speedway, and that is weird to say as you see Cosmin Yanisho on top of the racetrack, Aaron Smith as well, and one car heavy in the inside wall. That is Timmy Pacioli in car 86. Takes a big header there to the concrete. And there's Jonathan Palmieri in car 3, somebody I thought we were going to see a lot more of last week at Rockingham Speedway. Unfortunately had that early exit. A couple of issues went the wrong way. He was caught up in a lot last week, really, and was able to miss a lot as well. Palmieri will come into the pit lane, potentially practicing that pit entry that we'll have to see later on. If this last stage goes green, we have an opportunity for green flag pit stops this evening. A 35-lap opening stage, a 65-lap closing stage, and that closing stage, these guys could, I don't know if they're going to, they're going to be right on the verge of needing fuel, I think, if it goes green, as Cosmin Yanisho and Aaron Smith go to the top of the board here in warm-up. Again, this is not qualifying. This is warm-up. This is just an extra 5 minutes of practice for these drivers, and there's that big bump at a turn 2 you just saw these guys take. That's going to get a lot of cars upset this evening, as this is a great opportunity to ride on board with Cosmin Yanisho. This again from the driver's eye, and you can see just how little you can see out the helmet of one of these cars. Checking in over on the Twitch chat, I see Pistana chiming in on reserve this evening, vacation. And you know what, that brings up a great point. We are going to see drop weeks, right? So the points we talk about, that's accurate. That's what we are looking at so far, but I'm sure we're going to see a drop week or two to facilitate guys like, Pistana, of course, taking his own vacation. And, of course, Ryan Vargas is Mr. Race, or 3, I think. So I'm curious to see how that works into things. But as time expires in our warm-up session, Christian Eckes goes to the top of the board in car 19. He'll need that practice this week, I think, as he gets ready to go racing at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Let's take a look at the schedule this season as the session ticks over. Daytona, Auto Club Las Vegas, Rockingham, Atlanta, now round 5. And this is weird. We're already in the back half of the regular season. That's not normal usually in a season this short, but hey, I guess that would be the case if we only have 8 races in the regular season. It's race 5, we're in the back half. It just doesn't feel quite right. But hey, Atlanta in the kind of mid-season swing. I guess this would be somewhere around May or June if this was the full NASCAR schedule and just stretched out. But Circuit of Americas next week, Phoenix the week after, then Martinsville to close the regular season, Talladega, North Wilkesboro, Kansas, and Charlotte to close the season out. And before we go racing this evening, worth mentioning this is an extension, not an extension, but a continuation, I should say, of the UFL Hog Tamers Triple Cup Challenge. And it started back at Las Vegas Motor Speedway where Michael Fresh went to victory lane. He claimed the first $100. And the pole award this evening going to go to Aaron Smith. That's $30 for car 70, who puts it on pole. And the hard charger tonight, could it be somebody like Sean Farr, starting in 35th spot, maybe Jonathan Palmieri or Paul Fode in 34th and 33rd. Anthony Rotolo maybe from 32nd. A lot of those guys will be eligible and in prime position for the hard charger. $20 at the end of this race. A lot to race for there, and of course, if you were to double up on wins, we're not going to see that this evening, but if somebody does double up on wins, it's an extra $50 as well. Let's take a look at our starting grid this evening. On pole, I mentioned Aaron Smith in car 70. Always quick on super speedway style racetracks. Morgan Baird will start to his right side. Sean Butler back in the field this evening and officially now in car 23. Adam Kodal will start from the outside of row 2. That is Justin Melillo from 5th place. Cosmin Yanosho from 6th. 7th is Leighton Sabile. 8th, Zach Nichols. And to complete your top 10, it's Manon Rahman and Ryan Vargas. Starting from 11th, it's Matt Kemp in car 54. Not Ryan anything. Christian Eckes, rather, will start from 12th. Starting 13th is Brian Mercurio. Joel Smith for EPI. He will start from 14th spot. Cy Bowen rounds out the top 15. Cody Williams from 16th position. Peter Acumano from 17th. Timmy Pacioli, Chris Wetz, and Andrew Schwartz complete your top 20. Bear Polhemus rolls off from the 21st spot. Matthew Stalknet there in 22nd. Then David Cabrera, 23rd. Matt Wishart, 24th. Jonathan Taylor, 25th position in car 7 alongside the 07 of Gabe Herschel. Tristan Hagenstein from 27th spot. Oh, so fitting. Austin Moore starts from 28th. Jake Fluman, 29th. Doug Denias, 30th. Ford Martin, 31st. And the last few drivers are Anthony Rotolo, Paul Fode, Jonathan Palmieri, and Sean Farr. 35 cars this evening as we drop the green flag from Atlanta Motor Speedway. 100 laps the distance. This is the Firelight 150. One lap complete from almost said Las Vegas, Atlanta Motor Speedway. You got to be feeling lucky here, though. Even if it isn't Las Vegas, you got to roll the dice a couple of times as Morgan Baird shoots the gap in the middle of the racetrack. Adam Kodal goes with him. But the whole bottom side and everybody else got completely out of order lap 1. Sean Butler takes over across the stripe. Melillo goes up top with him. Now Sabile up there, as is Cosmin Yanosho on the bottom side. Zach Nichols in the 45 car. That brings Rahman and Kemp on the bottom side as well. Already a lot of moving, a lot of shifting. And everything I thought I knew about the field completely turned up on its head. Ryan Vargas fastest that lap at 29.503. Mercurio, Eckes, they get a run on the bottom side. Acumano down there in the 34 car. And it looks like already we've got 3 packs here at Atlanta. That's weird to say. As there goes Sabile to the bottom side of the racetrack, using the apron, using the inside line to get a few spots, and lead, it looks like this time out of turn 4. Will he be able to do it to the line? The answer is no. Sean Butler takes that lap. That was lap number 3. And we're going to see a lot of this. Double file racing, high, wide, and handsome. A very bottom line, a very top line. Pacioli that time was quickest. Here comes Zach Nichols on the bottom side. He brings the 44, the 54, the 41, the 19. Let's go on board Christian Eckes a little ways back in this top 10. Currently running in the 9th position. And we're going to see a lot of this weekend as well at Atlanta. Get ready for this kind of view from the driver's eye on Fox. Although potentially pixelated there on the dash, but no pixels here. You can see just how many RPMs Christian Eckes is turning. 8,200 or so around the track. A very consistent speed, but down to the 7,900s for a moment. Just a tick there on the inside. The center of 3 and 4 tries to come up the racetrack, but gets blocked out there by Matt Wishart, it looks like, on the top of the racetrack, and now Eckes finds a line, or finds an opening in the top line. Gonna show the first car down low alongside Justin Melillo. Your top 2, Sabile and Butler. Cy Bowen in line on the top side. Backing up quickly was the 44 that time of Rahman. And there's a whole other pack behind these guys. If you go far enough back to Matt Stalknet back here in the 21st spot, you got your top 20 just all together, then 21st, 22nd, all the way through about the 30th position. I'll call it 28th with Fluent, 29th with Hagenstein. And then Ford Martin leads the very back group along with Paul Fode, Sean Farr, Doug DeNice, and Chris Wetz, as we are 34 cars strong. 7 laps into our 100-lap race. 150 miles, though, here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Oh, and Wishart up the top of the racetrack on the outside. Everybody checking up, and Wishart said, nuh-uh, we're going to the front, baby, and he just shoved his way around a couple of cars. 3 wide now out of turn number 2. That was a hairy moment, that's for sure. He's still on the top of the racetrack up there on the outside of Cy Bowen and Ryan Vargas right now. Certainly not a move I would have made, but hey, it worked out for him. Got a couple of spots there through 1 and 2, but now the flip side of that is nobody's working with him. Everybody's staying to the inside of that 32 car, and he's got to find his own way. It looks like into the green, safer barrier that time, but a turn 1. And Cody Williams checks up. Peter Acumano checks up. Joel Smith as well, just trying to find ways by that 32 car right now. He showed his hand. It worked for a moment, but I think he might have learned something right there in the number 32 car. Lap 10 now of 100. Nearly a tenth of the way into this. Every lap is a percent, if you will. And here is Brian Mercurio in the middle of the field. This is a really odd spot to be in. And I wonder, drivers might be able to chime in a little bit as this race goes on, potentially. What is the car like in traffic like this? Does it buff it around a little bit? Do you feel the bumps a little more? I would have to imagine so, based on Daytona and Talladega racing with this car. As now Eckes will move into the middle between Morgan Baird and Ryan Vargas. Acumano puts himself in the fence in the 34 car. And he checks up right on the nose of Wishart. 1 car very low on the inside. I think that might have been Melillo, and everybody reacts. Thankfully, Melillo able to hang on to it. Look back at it here for Justin Melillo down the front stretch. Off the nose of the 94. Of Cosman Yanosho. Watch the pink and black 53 gets turned right there, and Cosman immediately drops anchor. Zach Nichols door the 19 of Christian Eckes trying to check up. And everybody allowed the 53 to gather it back up. We certainly like that. Back live, Sean Butler, Cy Bowen on the bottom side of the racetrack. You see Ryan Vargas 4th in line up top. Leighton Sabile leading the line, leading the field. As here comes Zach Nichols with a run on the outside of the 34 of Acumano. Last week's winner, Nichols. That was close. Let's ride on board. On board with Zach Nichols, lap 13 of 100, and he pulls right up to the number 94. Oh, that's a squeeze. I'm not sure about that one. I think we're going to see a lot of that, though, tonight. And somebody who can shed some light on that. I said we got to put some comments out in the chat, hoping for some better health this week for Zach Mertis, fighting, it seems like, a little bit of a bug. Well, Zach Mertis able to join us nonetheless here on the mic. Zach, welcome. Yeah, that's definitely the theme so far. What we're starting to see, though, is these guys move up to the top of the racetrack and just fight their way, brute force, fight their way into a line because there's nowhere else to go. You can't really go 3 wide in the middle, at least not safely. You really risk everybody's race around you and, of course, your own. But you do the same thing when you go to the top of the racetrack. It's just a matter of where you're at, where you can take the run, I think. I would certainly be hesitant to go anywhere right now. I think you kind of have to just take them as you can get them as the lines move around. I'm surprised these guys are moving 3 wide, whether it's in the middle or the top of the racetrack. But Zach Nichols, Matt Wisher both have squeezed to the outside and made room where there seemingly wasn't any. Ooh, Eckes in the fence. Eckes got the fence. I think one other car right behind him now got the fence. That might have been Stalknet in the 51. And now Zach Nichols backed up a bunch. Desai Bowen got a push into the corner. Acumano in the fence. Eckes going to shoot the gap in the middle. And will that work out for the 19 car? Yes, it looks like, at least for now, they do not crash. So that's working out for the time being as they fire off into turn 1. And Matt Kemp checked up ever so slightly in front of Eckes there. Already nearly 20% of the way through this race. It's a bit of a sprint race for these guys. I like that, though. It's going to force some urgency. You can't wait around forever, but you can wait around to get through this stage. They've got enough fuel, got enough tires, of course, to get through this stage, no problem. But then it's the second stage where there's a little bit of question. Can they go the full 65 laps? Of course, they'll burn a few under yellow as Vargas touches the fence there. But especially with these guys experiencing handling issues as this race goes on, Zach, I feel like they might want to come in for tires, even if they're on the verge of being able to save enough fuel to go the full 60 laps. But of course, if somebody can save those 60 laps, on the racetrack, yeah, they would of course win the race, but it's a matter of if they could win that race without putting themselves on the fence by handling issues. And right now, I don't see a whole lot of promise. It seems like every time they go into turns 1 or 3, somebody hits the wall. A bit of a touch to the green outside wall, and yeah, I mean, it's going to be a theme for sure. We're going to see a whole lot of constants, I think, out of this racing this evening. As Wisher leads the bottom side, Nichols going to try and force the middle. Maybe, no, he slides back down behind the 32 car and tries to get him moving. And that's a look from the back end of Wishart's machine. That is what the gearbox camera sees, just that chrome red horn of Zach Nichols 45. This is out the front, though. And the top just gets such a great run out of the corners, Zach, but, well, you see what happens. You get a few cars clear, a couple of the cars dip down, and now you've got Leighton Sabile out front of the bottom side that brings Rahman with and completely changes the dynamic of these guys up front, but then Sabile gets loose, and yeah, tires are going to be a talking point for sure, as the track temp was 123 degrees. Even if it was a cold race, though, we'd be talking about it. We do love the good old driver's eye camera, and this, thankfully, not pixelated. We like that. I'm going to make that joke a couple more times tonight. Cosplay Auto Show way up the track, that time out of turn 2. Zach Nichols on his back bumper, and that creates some separation from the top 3. Although that will close into turn 3. Melillo dips down the racetrack ever so slightly in front of Sean Butler. And Seville gets a run rolling on the bottom of the racetrack. It's an ebb and flow of who's quick, who, where on the racetrack, I suppose, and who gets the run each lap. Although the run usually does go to the top side each and every time out of the corner. But Seville, man, he can roll that bottom nicely. Now, I did see drivers dipping below it in practice, practicing race conditions, so we'll see exactly how it's treated later on, I'm sure. At some point, people are either going to make a move or not. And they're either going to use it like the double yellow line at Daytona or Talladega, or they're just going to go down there free game on the front stretch later on in the race. But for sure on the back straightaway, that's no-go zone. You don't want to go down there. And thankfully, we don't have that commitment line down there yet. That's going to be an interesting day on iRacing when we get the new commitment line added for Atlanta Motor Speedway. And it's going to be an interesting day Friday, Saturday, Sunday when we see it in use. Only 7 laps to go in stage 1. Nichols technically leading out of turn 2 that time. Now it goes the way of Sean Butler up top. We're going to see that all night long. The top side gets that big time run, especially more here than at Daytona or Talladega. As Melillo in the fence, that opens the door down low. And Mercurio goes through, Bowen goes through, Yanosho goes through, Vargas goes through, Rahman goes through. And Melillo from up front to 13th spot and dropping 15th, 16th. Let's go for 17th maybe. No, he gets a run now, 3 wide racing with Morgan Barrett and one other driver. I think that might be Stalknet down low, or no, Polhemus in the 79, now Herschel. As they stack up behind him, Matt Wishart dropping back further. And the top 10 cutoff for stage points, right here you're looking at it. Manon Rahman and Christian Eck is now 10th. Melillo up into 11th. So he could still race for stage points as the front of the field gets single filed out. And here comes the 25 down low, Leighton Seville. Yeah, Melillo's not done. I think he definitely wants to show that he can hang with these guys, whether it's at a mini super speedway or not. He's definitely been priding himself in his better runs on Twitter, and sometimes a little more self-critical when a run doesn't quite go his way. But now he moves back up into the top 10 and back into a stage point paying position by 1 spot over Manon Rahman. Zach Nichols leads, Cy Bowen second, Matt Kemp third, then Sean Butler, Brian Mercurio your top 5. Matter of time until these guys make moves, but let's look deep in the field briefly at guys maybe around the 20th spot. Look at this gaggle of race cars right in front of Aaron Smith and Jonathan Taylor, Joel Smith, just a whole log jam, if you will. Further back in the field, you get guys like Peter Aquilano, Andrew Schwartz, Jake Fluman, Ford Martin back here biding their time, even Paul Fode, rather, in car 88. A beautiful paint scheme on that machine. And Doug DeNice running dead last, 34th of 34 cars, just waiting for this stage to end as we take 2 laps to go in the stage. And it is. It is, yeah. I think handling has taken over. This is the one car in this lead group that is not in the top 10, and Vargas bobbles there. That's going to change. Here comes Ryan Vargas, or here comes Manon Rahman, right into the 30 car of Vargas. This is for the last spot in the stage. As you can see, Kosmanyanisho into the fence, nearly crashing as we come around to complete stage 1. Here we go for the stage win. Zach Nichols up high, Cy Bowen down low. Matt Kemp falls back, and for the top 10, it's barely Melillo over Rahman, and actually that was for 9th. Kodal. No, oh wow, they're crashing. Joel Smith and Cody Williams on the entrance to turn 1. I think, yes, Kosmanyanisho dropped completely out of the top 10. That was the difference maker. And now the 9 car has just spun with help maybe from the 16 car. A lot to process.
An interesting way definitely to end the stage as well. I think Peter Akimano got the 2nd place position right there over Cy Bowen coming to the line, and we're taking a look at everything rolling through the field. This is
Kosmanyanisho and Christian Eckes. This is going to be down the back straightaway to turn 3, and this is what happens to the 94 car.
Looking for the top 5. Ooh, just a little bit of contact rolling into 3.
This backs up Kosman the entire way into turn 3 and 4. Might have even broken a toe link the way that car is wobbling. There goes Kodal and everybody else, and then here comes Joel Smith into frame. And watch the 9 car. Williams comes down trying to squeeze underneath the 94. Joel Smith, I think, could have lifted given the stage was ending, and hard to say. I think those 2 drivers just met in the middle in an unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah, it's just like a racing incident. They were past the line coming to meet up with the cars that were going slower in front of them, and it just didn't unfold in their favor, really. I mean, looking at the stage finish here,
this is the lap prior, so this is coming around to the white flag in the stage. You can see that's where Vargas gave up all that time, but these are your top 5 that sorted it out over this final lap of stage 1. It was lap 35. You see Mercurio and Sabile get a big run up top, or at least try to set up a big run up top. There goes Cy Bowen, though, to the inside, and I saw this developing from the onboards further back from Rahman. And there goes Kemp to the inside. That's the one I really saw. That nearly turned Cy Bowen around. What a catch.
I think that's what cost Cy Bowen that stage win, actually, because he had a huge run on Zach Nichols, and if Matt Kemp would have pushed him a little bit more, it would have been better. And right there at the line, I think that was Akimano who managed to edge for 2nd place.
Mercurio, rather, in car 41, yeah. Very, very close, for sure. And interesting that Mercurio is actually the first one off the pit lane in front of Zach Nichols in car 41. So it'll be Mercurio, Nichols, Sabile, your top 3. Then Bowen, Kemp, Eckes, Butler, Vargas, Rahman, and Herschel, your top 10. When we go back green, it's lap 38 of 100. And I'd imagine a few drivers will definitely come in and top off before the end of this caution period. While we wait on our restart for the beginning of stage number 2, we'll go Pit Stop TV side by side. Just in time for the green flag, Mercurio, your race leader, Zach Nichols up top, Layton's be lay third, green flag flies, and stage 2, the Firelight 150 is underway from Atlanta Motor Speedway. This could be interesting. And Zach up through the gears, lap 1 of the stage. These guys trying to reacclimate themselves with the track and with everybody else around them, side by side. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows deep. A drag race to the start-finish line, and that time across the line, car 41 had it, but Nichols quickly noses ahead into turn 1, and it flips back the other way. These guys are going to be after it all night long, as it is a dead heat for first.
Yeah, they are 2 by 2, maybe like 10 rows deep, honestly, and you can see the top line is starting to form up. Cy Bowen to the back bumper of Zach Nichols, but Nichols is going to drive it down to the bottom and start stacking up that bottom line. It's going to cut the run a little bit, but he seems to be rolling. Cy Bowen now leading the top there, side by side for the lead. Cy Bowen up top, Zach Nichols on the bottom, and Jake Fluman actually just went fastest as they still roll side by side about 10 rows deep. This is some excellent super speedway racing we're watching right now.
I think I count 8 cars side by side. So yeah, 8 rows side by side, at least at the front of the field right now. And I imagine there's more, so call it 16, 17 cars in this one fight, if you will, as we complete lap 42. Down the front stretch is one of the more unique views, I think, in stock car racing for sure, especially at a place like Atlanta Motor Speedway that's seen so much great racing over its long and storied history. And Zach Nichols, that bobble that time on the bottom side of 1 and 2 really backed him up. Mercurio checked up, Sabile checked up. Here comes Bowen and Kemp down the racetrack in front of Nichols, their teammate.
And we were 3 wide actually not too long ago, rolling through 1 and 2. And that third car right there in line on the top, the 51 of Stalkneck, and he is coming to the front.
Oh!
That was close.
That was Eckes moving up in front of Morgan Baird. That was really, really close there for that spot. And Eckes is making a lot of those moves, I think, today. Just really close calls, trying to fit in line. Up top, down low, in the middle. As here's a side-by-side for third. Ryan Vargas now on the outside of Zach Nichols. Each of these guys have wins this season. Vargas at Daytona. Nichols last week at Rockingham. How about Mount Kemp also? The win at Las Vegas earlier this season. The only winner not in the field tonight is Michael Fresh from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I realized I just contradicted myself. Kemp, of course, won at Auto Club Speedway earlier in the season, and now they're a crash! The 07, the 51 of Stalknet, Baird in the wall. Palmieri down the racetrack, he saves it, but a crash in stage number 2. Paul Fode checks up. Everybody trying to check up and miss it. But it all starts with the 07 of Gabe Herschel. Acumano involved, and Herschel, oh my goodness, he has beached himself.
He's stuck on the apron. Popping in reverse, there you go.
Back it up, Terry.
Put her in reverse. Oh, that toe link is broken on that left front, though. That is a hurting machine right there. That might be his race done and over with.
Unfortunately, Gabe Herschel, he skipped out on leg day here. I've got no room to speak. I need to get myself into a gym, and maybe I'll check out Gymshark, get myself involved there. I don't know. We'll see. But let's see what happened to the 07 car. Up top, Ryan Vargas. And, there's Stalknet on the top side of the racetrack. I think that's where that's just racing.
And then Morgan Baird just came in. I think Stalknet was...
wow. Well, now we know kind of what happened there, at least to the 07 car, and why he will not be continuing on. But let's go on board here with the 51 car of Stalknet and kind of watch this from his perspective. This will tell a lot more of the story. Driver out of New York.
Holding his line, he goes to the top. Just gets squeezed. I think Gabe Herschel was just trying to go with Vargas and didn't expect to have someone on his outside like that. But from the looks of it, that 51 car might still be able to keep going. I see no toe links broken or anything. The car seems to be okay. I do know the damage model was just updated on these cars as well, so he might actually be able to keep rolling.
Let's check this out for the 98 car of Morgan Baird. He was a little further back behind these guys, on board of the mirror. Right behind it looks like is that, yeah, it's Eckes in the 19 and just blindsided, really.
Nowhere to go.
Yeah, Morgan just no opportunity really to miss that. Aaron Smith barely gets by, and then the 34 Vacumano comes in late, and that car looks just about totaled on the left front. Yeah, I don't think the left front's steering where it's supposed to.
I think Morgan Baird's right front toe link was broken as well. I'm not quite sure. He looked pretty tore up.
It looked that way for sure, and there's Morgan in the pit lane. He started second today. In fact, our front row from the start of this race was just involved in that. Morgan Baird and Aaron Smith both. So the 98 and the 70 having a bit of a rough lap there as we drew closer to halfway, and we're still drawing closer to halfway. As you can see, Cosmignano Show on the apron trying to rejoin the field, and he will do so in 32nd spot. Acumano, the only car officially out of the race as it seems, but Gabe Herschel will be joining him. So 2 cars fewer here in our field.
Narrowing the field down as we roll up on halfway. I mean, just that's the give and take when it comes really to super speedway racing. You can either be in it or be out of it. And second round of the Hog Tamers Triple Cup Challenge. Who was it that won Las Vegas? Actually,
Michael Frisch.
Michael Frisch. That's right, and he is not here tonight.
That's right.
So there is no way for him to back up his to get a second win, really. And this thing just a little bit like the Triple Truck Challenge that you see in the Craftsman Truck Series. So I would assume if he could get all 3 wins, he'd be walking home with a $300 payday, but it doesn't seem that way tonight. So we may just have a new winner who may just end up getting $100 tonight.
That would have been 300 plus the bonuses, so call it 400 for each of those wins. But again, as you mentioned, Michael Frisch not in the field this evening, but somebody can still, and somebody will, grab themselves $100. We're unsure of the hard charger at the moment, but the pole award went to Aaron Smith in car 70. That's $30 in his pocket. Into the Geico restart zone, and we're going to turn things back over to the field. Green flag flies once more from Atlanta. Brian Mercurio leads that full lap, but Sabile comes down the racetrack, might have just got him at the line. I think it was still car 41 officially at the checkers. Well, not the checkers, but the checkers of the lap, if you will, as we are on the halfway lap. Lap 50 of 100. At the completion of this lap, Zach, we're halfway home, 50% of the way through this race. Doesn't pay anything, but let's see who leads here halfway.
These guys are still side by side all over the place, just trying to figure out where the grip is, where they can run with these tires, and just look at them pushing each other. You've got Mercurio, Bowen, Sabile, Butler just
three wide.
There, 3 wide.
Sabile
to the lead.
Sabile dropping out. He falls back to the 86 car of Pacioli. Cy Bowen keeps the 41 out front as Sean Butler tries to pie to the bottom. Nearly gets turned there by Ryan Vargas. Opens the door for the 17 of Bowen on the bottom side of the racetrack. He takes the opportunity. He brings his teammate Matt Kemp along with. They're not able to bring Zach Nichols yet, but that's still some teamwork at hand. And that puts Cy Bowen in control of the race for the time being. We'll get Butler right at the back end of the 54 car.
But they went to the bottom and didn't get a good run. The top is still rolling. Mercurio still up there on the top side. He's got Zach Nichols right behind him. Leighton Sabile right there with him. You've got 3 cars all tagged up with each other, bottom and top. Oh, so close. You got to be able to hold that white line. Just stay in line with your teammates. Do the best you can. Mercurio.
What a save. Zach
a
Nichols
save.
jacked up the back end of the 41 car that time in 3 and 4, and what a catch there from Mercurio. Quick hands on the wheel.
That holds up the top line now. You've got Kemp, who is clear of the top now. Do they go back up to the top and pick him up? You've got 3, almost 4 cars clear of the top line.
Look at the form now of the field. It's staggered the top side way back now and given the advantage to those teammates down low of Cy Bowen and Matt Kemp. Sean Butler trying to figure out how he fits into this and now gets to the inside of Kemp in the 54. Vargas, a big help to Kemp up top, and we're back to double file for the race lead.
Yeah, Vargas decided he was going to go with Kemp once he took his nose out and started to take a peek, and Matt Kemp has a big run down the back straightaway, but Sean Butler on that back bumper trying to hold tight hit that bottom line with Cy Bowen still leading, going through 3 and 4, but don't count out Matt Kemp and Ryan Vargas. They are coming on the top real strong. Oh, we might actually be 3 wide coming off the corner.
Cy Bowen down low, Matt Kemp up high, teammates there, Zach Nichols a couple of cars back of Cy Bowen on the bottom side. Pacioli has joined the chat finally. He's here in car 86, on board with him now.
He is right there tucked up on the back bumper of Zach Nichols, just biding his time, waiting for something to happen if he can poke his nose out, or even just stay in line and just save fuel. We've still got just under halfway, about 45 laps to go in this race, and Cy Bowen is now in complete control of these top 2 lines. He's holding the bottom, but he can go back to the top whenever he needs to, being clear of Matt Kemp, and Vargas just holding tight right there, trying to get a run coming down the back straightaway. They might get side by side going into 3.
Now these guys should be sorted on fuel to the end of regulation, but we very well could see this race go into overtime, as we've seen a couple of times already earlier in the season. So watch out for that, and that's certainly an opportunity. I think something that drivers need to account for is what I'm trying to
Vargas
get
to the top, 3 wide.
You called it. Car 30 up top, Matt Kemp. I don't know if he really wanted to go up there, but he has now, and Rhino is starting to check up. The Daytona winner headed back quickly, but again, I think drivers have to at least account for the possibility of overtime this evening, as there goes Nichols and Kemp to the bottom side of the racetrack in front of Pacioli. Vargas continues to keep sliding back and finally finds a way in line right there by Ford Martin in the 33 car, who has made a significant set of gains and is now towards the front of the field, along with Paul Fode right in front of him. So a couple of hard Charger contenders potentially, as we're on board with Ford Martin now.
Yeah, a lot of these guys just decided to start coming to the front. Hated to cut you off there, Andrew, but we got it. We had to call that Vargas went to the top 3 wide. Now he seems to be falling back. Anthony Rotolo just right behind Vargas. Everyone seems to be evened out, just trying to find, where the line's going to be. And my big thing here is, you just talked about it, Andrew. We're good to fuel on regulation, but what about these tires? We're already seeing the handling starting to go away. These guys, look at them. They're sliding up to the wall, just trying to hang on to these cars. What do we see after 30 to 35 more laps when we roll up on 10 or 5 to go?
We're going to see guys like this keep moving forward. Paul Fode, Anthony Rotolo, Ford Martin, Jonathan Palmieri, they all started back in the final 4 or 5 positions of the field and are now right behind these guys, right at the top 10 cutoff or so. In fact, Fode currently runs 14th. The 4 of them run 14th through 17th spot and keep moving forward. Lap 59 in the books. Cy Bowen pulling away. You can see teammates have realigned on the bottom side of Bowen, Nichols, and Kemp. But Sean Butler up top, he's got Mercurio helping him, then the 25 of Leighton Sabile. And again, if that car looks familiar, but maybe not in the 25, well, of course, that is Corey Heim's paint scheme. Corey Heim and Jake Fisher suspended from tonight's race and on probation through the completion of the season later in May at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So you can see the usual EPI colors there on car 25.
He is representing EPI very well tonight, rolling up there inside the top 10, sitting 6th right now. And we actually have a lap car coming up in 3 and 4. This is going to be interesting to see how things go.
We have 2 lap cars, Gabe Herschel, and here's Morgan Baird. It looks like there's one other off the pace. I'm not sure exactly who that is yet, but here is Morgan Baird in car 98, and he's going to have the field on him very, very soon. He's going to go all the way to the top of the racetrack, and you can start to see these guys trying to adjust for it, trying to find their way to the inside. It's going to happen at a good time on the back straightaway. This really opens up the racetrack. Everybody files on by the 98 car, but Herschel will be caught next. And actually, Herschel's at the back end of the field, so maybe not.
Herschel looks to have been passed already, and these guys are all just filing through, working around this lap traffic. Morgan Baird doesn't seem too off the pace. He honestly might be able to fall back in line and just kind of ride around. He's the first car lap down now. He'll be more than likely to get the lucky dog. And, I mean, he actually is the only car 1 lap down. Everyone else is more than 10 laps out of the race.
Yeah, Gabe Herschel 14 laps down currently. Just got back on track about 3 laps ago, and Peter Akimano out of this race. Up front, things have changed a bit with that lap car being passed, and this, I think, opens up the box, Pandora's box, if you will. We're going to see a few different things with this different dynamic, including Pacioli up the racetrack big time into turn 1. We're just slightly more spread out. We saw this at the end of stage 1, and we might see this more as this race goes on. These guys spreading out. I said during our warm-up we wouldn't see those race conditions where they were split up, single file, a couple of cars here, a couple of cars there. But by the end of this race, we could be seeing that.
I want to talk about more. I see Austin Moore running up there in the top 10. Haven't seen him in the top 10 most of the night.
Most of the season.
Really? Wishart up there in the 7th position, Pacioli up there in 6th. These guys were kind of nowhere towards the end of the first stage, and now they're just running up there inside the top 10, just running their race, doing everything they can to make this thing happen. And the top line is just trying to get form back up. They're all suffering from handling issues from the looks of it, and they're all just sliding up towards the wall. You got guys like Justin Malolo who were running up towards the front that are still in the back, and everyone else is kind of single filed out, sandbagging the rest of the way, seeing if they're going to get that big one happen throughout the rest of the race, or if it's just going to run the rest of the way green.
How about this guy, Andrew Schwartz, the last car on the lead lap, 31st position, only 3.6 seconds behind the race leaders right now. Only 4 seconds from 1st to 31st here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. That is not what we would maybe consider normal as we approach 2/3 of the way through this race. But that is the new normal here at Atlanta, and boy is it fun, boy is it exciting. As Schwartz rides in the 31st spot, right behind fan favorite Sean Farr. There's looker car 22. Aaron Smith back here as well, tonight's pole sitter who won $30 from qualifying. Tristan Hagenstein here as well. Cosmin Yanosho back here. He started 6th, certainly not going to get the hard charger award this evening. Even guys like Doug Denice hanging out back here, just trying to find an opportunity maybe to miss a crash.
And we can see riding on board, the pack is actually separated. We have the front pack and the back pack. It's just a little separated, but they're starting to form back up, get a little single filed out, trying to roll through here. And Andrew, I'm actually about to hand this back off to you. This time it's actually starting to kick back in a little bit.
Cy Bowen, Zach Nichols, Matt Kemp, the leaders. That changes. Here comes Pacioli on the inside. Sean Butler comes on through. Mercurio, he fights the inside of the 54 car. And yeah, Matt Kemp just understands the situation. He got passed up by a lot of cars right there. Codal now follows on by. There's Wishart. Still Cy Bowen and Zach Nichols well out front though. Pacioli battling for 3rd with Sean Butler. Cars 23 and 86 side by side through turns 3 and 4. Adam Codal as well joining the chat as he, we haven't seen him at all yet this season, shows up here for race number 5. First race in the back half of the regular season. And with 31 laps to go, the driver who started, 4th position? 4th position is back to 5th. On board here with Codal. You see the 41 of Mercurio up top, following the 86 of Pacioli. 30 laps to go this time by. It's just a matter of waiting. Do they have enough fuel? Can the tires hang on? Who makes the last move? Who makes the first move? And if we see green flag pit stops, I don't think we will, but if we somehow do, who's the first on pit lane? Who's the last on pit lane? Who takes the risk of pitting with the rest of the field? I think that's a worthy question, a question worth asking for sure as we hit 30 laps now, 29 laps to go. The field's starting to single file further back. But up front, still very much tight. Side by side racing the first 6, 7 rows. Oh, some bobbling there. Sean Butler got the 45 of Nichols all out of whack. And Pacioli is going for the race lead, car 86. Pacioli's got it for a moment out of turn 4 to the line. Cy Bowen leads that lap. That was lap 72. Hey, maybe the 86 of Pacioli can lead lap 86 if he's able to hang on. As, wow, look at that push. Nichols really got the 17 of Bowen out there. Butler's following. There's even that big gap now in front of Adam Kodal. It really worked out that night. A reminder, this is race number 2. We've talked about it a couple of times. Race number 2 of the Hog Tamers Triple Cup Challenge. And I just want to thank Corey Heim and everybody over at Hog Tamers for putting up this cash, putting up this money, and creating this little fun kind of mid-season tournament, if you will. Extra bit of racing, Triple Crown even. Las Vegas, Atlanta, and Phoenix. You'll have to wait 2 more weeks after this evening. I think 3 more weeks, actually, with the way the schedule's built, to find out who wins the final leg of the Triple Cup Challenge. But tonight we're going to find out who wins leg number 2, as Pacioli got a big push that time from Mercurio, works out to a big lead, but Saibo pulls back in behind. And, wow, somebody actually blinks out that time. I think it was the leader. The 86 of Pacioli having some connection issues as they work up the racetrack in turns 3 and 4. And Pacioli is going to try and stay in control as they all fan out. Matt Kemp 3 wide. Here comes Sabile. Here comes Rahman. Wishart made the big move, and Kemp just kind of grazes the outside wall that time as Eckes and Vargas work together to the inside of the 54 car.
Everybody seems to be rolling 3 wide. We're 3 wide, actually, 2 rows deep, and a couple of cars are trying to make sure they can keep those handling issues under wraps. We're 25 to go, rolling up on 24 to go right now. Still 3 wide. Kemp almost in the wall as Morgan Barrett is actually back on pit road, and they're rolling up on Gabe Herschel to put him another lap down.
Herschel is going to drop onto the apron here and let these guys go by.
Very respectful.
Looking like he's pitting this weekend.
I just will say that's a good, respectful thing to do. You know, you're off the pace a little bit, and you don't want to hold these lead cars up and just moving out of the way for them, just staying on the bottom. That's a great thing to do, and I absolutely admire that as they are still fighting for that lead as Wishart is looking to take that lead away from Pacioli.
Oh, Matt Kemp got the wall big time into 1. He really plowed the outside fence that time.
Still riding it. He was actually for a little bit rolling through 1 and 2, but he seems to be fine now. Side by side now over by Joel Smith.
That was a lot of contact for the 54 into the outside wall. Hopefully no damage done. And actually, you know how we can tell? Let's go on board with him and see how the wheel is. If he's fighting it maybe, or if he's having to correct in any weird way. It looks okay. Might have gotten lucky. I get real nervous the way these guys graze the fence. Even if it gets more and more normal as the run goes on, it just, I can't help but be nervous about it.
It's dicey, especially with these next-gen cars. You never know if a little bit of wall contact is going to result in just a little bit of side pod damage. Oh, excuse me, not side pod, just side damage, as we're 3 wide for third. Pacioli still leading, but Cy Bowen is on his inside as Wishart is falling back into the clutches of Austin Moore and Leighton Sabile.
Yeah, where did Wishart come from? He had a big run that lap, it looks like. Drove to second, now falling back as Austin Moore is going to catch him, it looks like. And Wishart finds a hole in the middle of the racetrack. There's 3 wide behind these guys, though. Look at Chris Wett suddenly in this. He's 11th place. Was just 3 wide, is now kind of tames out for a moment. Moore is still way up the racetrack. 3 wide on the outside of Sabile and Kodal. And we're on board with the unsponsored 71 of Chris Wetz.
Sorry, Andrew, but there was contact up front there with Zach Nichols, and I'm not sure who else that was, but they were 3 wide there for a second. I believe that was Pacioli.
They sorted out for the moment. As you can see, there's that second line of cars just waiting on a crash. They might get it here soon, the way these guys are racing. Jonathan Taylor down low, Ryan Vargas in the middle. Austin Moore up top as our leaders go back at it. There's Cy Bowen back to the bottom of the racetrack trying to take control. Zach Nichols off the top rail. He comes up and runs 4th across the line that time, right in front of a 3 wide situation. Sabile drove around them all. Eckes followed. Butler and Wishart now side by side.
This is too dicey for just about 20 laps to go, Andrew. This is still unfolding, and they're 3 wide even towards the back of the pack as we're getting single file out. Sean Butler trying to lead that bottom line, and you still got Pacioli leading around the top, and these guys are still 3 wide. Joel Smith on the bottom with Malolo and Vargas fighting.
Yeah, Vargas got the heck out of there. He's trying to self-preserve right now as here comes the 23 on the bottom side of the racetrack again. Sean Butler, a big run as he drives to 5th, drives to 4th. side by side, the 25 car of Sabile, and that big bump out of turn 2, man, it gets cars unsettled. It's worth lap 83 of 100, inside of 20 to go, and I think it's lights out. Everybody must be good on fuel the way these guys are racing.
And look at Mercurio just moving around, figuring out if he can find a way around Pacioli and take that lead away. It's all just up in the air. Anybody's race right now. This whole top 10 is just all over the place. And that was close. Zach Nichols pulling the side draft. It's going to cost him, though. Sean Butler's going to move into the 3rd spot.
Sabile wanted to go to the inside. I don't know if you saw that in the mirror there of the 45 car. He wanted to go low, and Zach Nichols closed that door. Nichols, Kemp, and Bowen, they have been racing real aggressive here, pulling out all the speedway tactics, blocking lines, trying to control double file, line up all 3 on the bottom side. As Eckes up the racetrack that time with help from the 32 of Wishart. And it is now lap 85, and I mentioned a few laps ago, maybe the 86 is able to lead lap 86. Pacioli's hanging on, certainly hoping that he can do that and a whole lot more.
Yeah, the top 4 have really just broken away from the rest of the field. Top 3, actually, I think Nichols is going down pit road.
Yeah, we got pitting. Ryan Vargas is in. A lot of cars come in. They are not good on fuel, apparently. One car way up the racetrack. It was a red nose. They might have been Jake Fluman, and it was. Nichols, Bowen, Vargas, Moore, Rotolo, DeNice, Fluman, and Farr all pit that lap on lap 85. Up front, Pacioli leads. It is lap 86, by the way. A perfect lap for him to lead. And, yeah, these guys are stringing out. They've got to pit.
Do we see tires?
Whoa!
Oh, look at that. Eckes and everybody else.
Wishart
almost ran in. One car actually just missed the pit
That
lane.
was Wishart. He nearly clobbered the back end of Butler.
That was insane. You've got Butler, Joel Smith right there on pit road, Sabile, Eckes, and Jonathan Taylor staying out. Paul Hemus and Kodal right there behind them.
I like this strategy.
They're going to have to pit this time, honestly.
But I like this strategy. Stay out and wait and see if you get a yellow from these guys trying to pit and messing it up potentially. As there goes Jonathan Taylor one more lap. You can see this is why I would stay out. Look at this calamity trying to get into the pits.
Oh, look at Matt
Wow! Kemp during Polhemus into the pit lane.
They were so close, so dicey. Matt Kemp almost hit the commitment cone.
But this is the concern if you take a few too many laps, is now Melillo, Smith, Taylor, Hagenstein, they're on the racetrack alone. As everybody, Eckes, he had to back up into his box. That I saw briefly negative numbers there for his speed. As everybody else tries to sort themselves out, but here come the race leaders. No, Taylor stays out. Here's Melillo, Smith, Hagenstein. If we get a yellow, though, boy, Jonathan Taylor would be a genius.
Enjoy this while you have it, too, folks. You will not see this come Friday, Saturday, Sunday with the Cup Series and the Crafted Truck Series. They are not going to be pitting like this as everyone starts to roll out of pit road. Melillo hitting his box now. Butler is out of pit road. He's in front of Zach Nichols, actually.
This is your race lead. It's Butler, Nichols, Stalknet, and everything else is spread out. I said earlier in that warm-up session we wouldn't see racing like that. Well, I'll eat my words now. Is Jonathan Taylor... Could he have been saving fuel, potentially?
I was about to say, Andrew, he's got the whole field a lap down. Do we see Jonathan Taylor staying out and trying to run this car all the way to the end? If anybody remembers Greg Biffle back in 2015 at Talladega trying to do the same thing, this might be an interesting way for him to get a win and put himself in the playoffs.
Well, you know, if he's blinking and fuel only burns while he's physically on the racetrack for everybody else, I mean... that could be one strategy as he blinks there on the front stretch. 10 laps to go, and car 7 leads by a lap. I bet you didn't expect to hear that this evening. Sean Butler second, Zach Nichols third, and here they are pulling up on Jonathan Taylor. And this is no more pack racing, it looks like. Aaron Smith in 4th place, by the way, after staying out, and it looks like trying to underfuel the car. Here's the best pack I can find. Schwartz, Melillo, Vargas, and Stalknet staying out really worked wonders for guys like Aaron Smith and Andrew Schwartz as they come up on a couple of slower cars. In the 88 of Paul Fode, the 5 of Anthony Rotolo. I guess they might have had some pit penalties. It's 2 laps down for Fode and Williams as Bowen goes purple, and Rotolo is 4 laps down, and Jonathan Taylor still no inkling of pitting.
Let's talk about how this has just fully shaken up. You have Nichols and Butler who pitted early on. They were some of the first takers to pit road, but then you've got Schwartz and Melillo and Aaron Smith of all people who were all the way in the back. and just pitted a little bit later than everybody else, and now they're up inside the top 5, top 10. Just
Aaron's about to get freight trained, though.
Yeah, he has no drafting help. The whole pack is coming to him, and you've got Jonathan Taylor, who is just trying to hang on for 8 more laps and see if he can put this thing together. Oh, boy, Cy Bowen right on the back bumper, Aaron Smith.
This is the race for 4th. Andrew Schwartz leading this pack, Justin Malilla with him, and Jonathan Taylor. How far can he go? He's got a lead now of 29 seconds. At some point, it's going to get to where he can almost just coast, but not quite. And now with the pack coming up on him, he is going to be swallowed up. And this is, I think, something that we may never see again. This is such a rare kind of strategy. But, man, the blinking really gets me, too. This is going to be interesting to watch play out.
Well, even if we roll up on, a caution at some point late in the race, everyone's going to take the wave around, so they have to start behind the lead lap cars, which means he's only going to fall back.
Oh, there he goes. He pits.
There he is. 4th place is the furthest back he go, but now he goes to pit road, and that is going to promote Sean Butler and Zach Nichols to the lead. And those two are just fully separated from the pack right now. I don't know if the pack is catching them, so this might fall in to a 2, maybe 3-horse race.
They've got 3 seconds on Mercurio and Pacioli, but they have formed up. Look at that bottom line. They're on the bottom side trying to run Butler and Nichols down. Closing in. 5 laps to go that time is, actually, no, still 6 laps to go. Had to hold myself there as now Butler finally takes over the race lead from Jonathan Taylor. And Taylor now falls behind everybody else. But here's your race leader, Sean Butler. Zach Nichols with him. I did not expect this.
And a lot of these guys just got swallowed up. You've got Aaron Smith, who's right around 20th place now. Stalknet is up to 5th. Malillo is outside the top 10 looking now. All of these guys are just all over the place, trying to figure out where they're going to fall in line.
Oh, Ryan Vargas. That was a big move.
There's 3 wide. Leighton Sabile in the middle. Cy Bowen up on the top now. Everybody's just all over the place. You got Joel Smith, who was all the way towards the back now, running in the 11th position.
4.5 laps to go. Here's Joel Smith running currently 12th. Make that 13th, no 12th. They're moving around. These guys are buffeting, ebbing and flowing for sure. Justin Malillo's in this pack. Up front, though, Sean Butler still over Zach Nichols, and the gap. Mercurio is now 2.1 seconds back of Nichols, closing in. That delta for draft, by the way, from Mercurio to Nichols, we're looking at about a second. That's what he wants to get to. That's his target time. With 3.5 laps to go, I don't see how it's going to happen.
Well, it's down to 1.9, going on 1.8, as these guys are just slowly.
We're going to see the craziest race for third we've ever seen.
We're going to see a race for the win.
Here it is.
Moore is now moving around.
Whoa, Stalknet!
He just bounced right up to the top, but this is what these leaders want to see. They want to see them fight.
Oh, no, they don't. No, they don't. They don't want to caution. These guys are racing like they're going to bring one out. This is the last thing the leaders need.
But they won't be catching it anymore. You can see the gap now. It's back up to above 2 seconds. They're not closing in as Wisher is moving to the bottom around Stalknet.
2 laps to go this time. Nothing changing between our top 2. They'll hold that way until the last lap. 2 laps to go at Atlanta Motor Speedway in the Firelight 150.
And if you're Zach Nichols, when do you decide to start going side by side with Sean Butler?
Last lap. Don't risk it.
We're coming back around to the white flag now. Stalknet on the top.
Kemp in the fence.
On the bottom.
Whoa! Stalknet up top. Wishart down low, like you mentioned. Mercurio giving the push of the 32 car. They've got to hang on just a couple more corners to make this race official, and it looks like they will.
Oh, Zach Nichols is backed up. He wants these lap cars to help him out. Sean Butler is all by himself. White flag in the air presented by Whiplash Media. Who do we see win this race? Sean Butler, Zach Nichols. They're all ripping the top.
And those guys third and back are closing now. They're inside of a second now to Nichols. This is going to be a fun race.
He's looking to the bottom.
Half a lap to go. Driver's eye cam for Zach Nichols. He goes to the inside. The inside of Sean Butler. It's going to be a drag race, one of those classic Atlanta finishes, side by side for the win, and Butler wins at Atlanta, and they all want it up.
And the third place car of Stalknet manages to close that gap back in. Andrew, that was one heck of a race.
Ryan Vargas is on his lid, and, well, just got turned back over through contact. But Sean Butler is going to victory lane this evening in the Firelight 150. He has won the second leg of the Hog Tamers Triple Cup Challenge. Have you ever?
No, I never. What a topsy-turvy race that turned in. It went from pack racing to fuel and pit strategy to back-to-pack racing on that last lap. You couldn't ask for anything more from Atlanta.
One of those classic Atlanta finishes. Didn't think I'd be saying that with this new layout here, this new configuration. Sean Butler goes to victory lane, the newest victor. 5 different races, call it 7 with the duels. Not a single repeat winner this season yet in the UFL Elite Series. The Untitled Friend League, man, these guys are all friends and they show it. But the Huffman Racing, number 23, goes to victory lane. It just, man, this season gets better and better.
Absolutely, and this is definitely going to be a point shakeup as well. It's going to put Sean Butler into the playoffs. It's going to move a few guys down the grid a little bit. It's going to be one heck of a shakeup, and these results are definitely going to show it too.
Let's revisit the standings quickly before we go to results and replays here. Butler enters this evening 16th. I had to look for him there. See, I had to look for him. That's the big thing. He dropped 5 spots last week at Rockingham, not making the race, from 11th down to 16th. But after tonight, he's locked in. He'll be the 5th driver in our playoff grid. And that moves Sabili and everybody else down one more spot. Even before points are figured in, that would now put the cut line between Bowen and Pacioli. So things are really going to move around. By the way, Bowen and Pacioli, they were racing for the lead for so many laps. Pacioli, I don't see him in the top 10. Timmy finished 27th. Cy Bowen finished 6th. The big difference there. But let's go through our unofficial race results this evening at Atlanta Motor Speedway and then talk to our race winner and the rest of our podium. Finishing up front, as we've mentioned a few times now, Sean Butler somehow comes away with the win over Zach Nichols at Atlanta Motor Speedway in car 23. Nichols in the 45 goes second. Stalknet there in third. Palmieri fourth. That is a huge finish for him. Wishart goes fifth. Saibo in sixth. Mercurio seventh. And Ryan Vargas rebounds and finishes eighth. Austin Moore in the top 10. That's important for his standings. And Leighton Sabile hangs on for another top 10.
And rolling through the rest of the field, Adam Kodal, someone who was running around the top 10 a little bit towards the end of that race, ends up 11th. Justin Malillo, who was leading early on, ends up finishing 12th. And Joel Smith, having a little bit of good luck, ended up in the 13th place. Matt Kemp, Chris Wetz in the 14th and 15th position. Tristan Hagenstein and Andrew Schwartz, 16th and 17th. Aaron Smith, he tried the fuel strategy. It didn't necessarily work out for him. He ended up falling back to the 18th position. Barrett Polhemus and Ford Martin, 19th and 20th place, a little bit separated from the rest of the pack.
21st is Jonathan Taylor after all of those laps led there towards the end, making us think maybe he saved fuel. It was a long stretch. Certainly not going to happen, but it was fun while it lasted. Doug Denice finishes 22nd, but on Rahman 23rd over Christian Eckes and Cosmignano show your top 25 cars this evening. Jake Fluman 26th, Timmy Pacioli 24 seconds off pace and in the 27th spot. Sean Farr and Paul Fode, your 2 cars, 1 lap down. Cody Williams comes home 30th. And then finally a few guys here at the back end on Heartbreak Row. Anthony Rotolo, Morgan Baird, Gabe Herschel, Peter Acumano. And it looks like Cabrera never started the race. Interesting there. Eric Webler is the admin here in the series. But Zach, we got a couple of drivers left to talk to. Sean Butler comes away with a top 3, but not just a top 3. Comes away with a win this evening at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And Sean, obviously you and Zach not teammates at all. You're going for the race win. He's going for the race win. But for a long time, it looked like you were just trying to help each other. When you're separated from the field like that by 3 seconds, how do you maintain and then race it out at the end?
Well, we knew going in there, taking the 2 tires, we were both just talking about it. We had no clue what each other was doing on that last pit stop at all. We just took 2 and short fueled it, and we got out to a good lead, and we realized that when they were starting to close in, about 2.5 seconds, like, all right, we gotta get closer together here and just hold them off. And luckily we were able to, he did a great job of pushing me that last run there. We definitely wouldn't have been in the spot we were in without Zach pushing there. But it was fun. We waited, we raced each other clean, and we waited to the very end to make the moves. And Fortunately, it worked out for both of us getting the 1-2. So I just wanted to come in here and survive the carnage of this track and get a good finish. And luckily, me and Zach were able to just escape a little bit and get the 1-2.
Not only do you take the 1-2, but you're taking home an extra $100 as race number 2 of the Triple Cup Challenge by Hog Tamers. That's got to feel pretty nice. $100 in your pocket's always a good day. Yeah,
definitely. When you can race virtually and just play a video game for a little while and get $100 out of it, I'll take it. It's good, but it's good to win, man. It's this league has a lot of good talent in it. Coke drivers, real drivers. There's a lot of talent here, and to say I won a race against these guys in this car that I'm not particularly good at, it's good. But yeah, just good to come out with a W and a fun time. And hey, I'll take the $100 too. Why not?
And I know you downplay things a little bit, saying it's just a video game for a couple of hours, and while it may be at its root, this is still a thriving community. I know you race a lot of different places. Of course, I think it was last week you guys were racing 87s at Auto Club while we were racing at Rockingham. So you're kind of part-time here in the series. What does this win change in that, though? Are you now going to dedicate a little more time, maybe make that choice over a couple of other races happening on Wednesdays, or is it just the same old game plan, see where it leads you?
I mean, I plan to run a lot more races. I saw the schedule this season. I'm like, okay, it's a lot of tracks that I like, so I might run a few more races here. But yeah, I definitely want to run a few more in these. I want to get better at this car. I've been putting it off for a while, but this is the one car I want to figure out. I still haven't really figured it out yet. Besides on the play track, so I just still trying to figure out how this thing works. And I definitely will plan on running more between this and FTF on Saturday nights. Got a lot of seat time in this car, so. Just looking to get more of it, but glad to finally get a win under my belt with this car and this series, and we'll go from there.
Well, Sean, congratulations winning the Firelight 150 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. You are in the playoffs.
Appreciate it, Andrew. Just want to give a shout out to you guys, of course, for the broadcast. Did a great job as always. We follow along on the Twitter and the Twitch, so definitely good job to you guys, and shout out to Huffman Racing for hopping on board, sponsoring us in leagues and anything else we run in this car this year. So shout out to them. And, yeah, appreciate the effort, guys. We'll try to go get him next week. Thanks again.
Appreciate your time. Congratulations once again. That is Sean Butler with a race win this evening. And Zach, you'll be talking to Zach, who goes second place.
It's going to be the Zach and Zach show here for a second as we interview our second place finisher tonight, Zach Nichols. Man, you led a lot of laps tonight. You did really great. You just didn't have it there at the end. It was a close finish, though. Just kind of tell us what was going through your head as you had the back half of the field closing in. And you were just trying to find a way around Sean Butler.
Yeah, I mean, we hit the white flag, and I kind of backed up. I knew the field was going to get there, but I didn't think they were going to get there just in time. But, yeah, we backed up to a lap car on the white flag and hoped we'd get a push to get up to Sean, and we did. We just made the move a little too early to get the win, but hats off to Sean. It was a heckin' race, and it was a ton of fun.
Yeah, you guys were hooked up, pretty separated from the rest of the pack. They were about 2 seconds up until about the white flag, and you guys just started fighting a little bit. They started closing back in. You made the move just a little bit too early. Kind of walk us through your thought process, really, how that last lap went out for you.
Yeah, I mean, we made the move too early, and we came home second, but yeah, I mean, we went down the back stretch. We got a big old run, and we were gonna stay locked up to his bumper until we made the move, and we did. We just made it way too early, and he was able to side draft us back and come home with the win. So it was a ton of fun, and I can't wait for next week.
Well, a second place finish is absolutely nothing to be ashamed of tonight. You guys ran a great race all around, and you were able to make some pretty dicey moves. And one thing that Andrew and I were talking about throughout the broadcast was pit strategy, and just kind of tell us how the pit strategy worked out for you and you guys were able to just get separated from the rest of the pack.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of people all took 4 tires. I took 2 and only 5 gallons of gas. So I think that's what spread us apart from the other parts of the field, and I think Sean did the same. So it was, I guess, the right call, and yeah.
Well, you guys ran an absolutely great race tonight. We look forward to seeing you next week and just turning a lot more good laps.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to thank my dad for watching, my Uncle Kenny, he's also watching, you guys for broadcasting, everyone that's at UFL for putting this league on. It's a ton of fun.
Absolutely, man. Well, congratulations on the second place finish.
Yeah, thank you.
And Andrew, we got our third place finisher waiting on us now, actually, as well.
Yeah, it was a roller coaster ride. Super fun race. Appreciate the UFL guys for hosting. It was wild. Intentionally, actually tried to start in the back because I wanted to go for the hard charger award tonight, and everything was working pretty well up until mid race. Made a move to I was running third on the outside lane and made a move to the outside of the 07, and he just kind of cleared up on top of me. So kind of reset the deck a little bit, and then from there it was just about trying so hard to go regain that track position. It was honestly a really clean race, which is I was a little surprised just because of how tight the racing is there. I thought there was going to be a lot more wrecks tonight and would have made things a little bit easier to pass and kind of gain track position and stuff, but track position was very challenging to come by tonight. So to get a P3 out of that, I mean, that last run to the checkers was amazing. I felt like we just needed one more lap. I think if we would have had one more lap, we had enough of a run to try to make something of the leaders there. But overall, really good. Second top 5 here in my UFL debut season. So I've been enjoying it, and it was a fun night tonight. Yeah, you have to. I mean, at the end of the day, with super speedway racing, especially with this package, which is a good package in the sense that I think it puts it a little bit more in individual drivers' hands, just in terms of, you have to really kind of make one-on-one moves. But yeah, I mean, there's certainly a risk and reward there, but I think it's necessary. If you want to gain track position, you're not going to really do it just running in line. You can kind of maybe do it just by saving tires the way the fall off was tonight, but you have to try to make holes, and I mean there's certainly some nuance in getting there, and I don't think me or a lot of other people that were trying it were perfect every time, and I definitely need to go watch the replay of the incident with the 07 to see if there's anything I could have maybe done differently there. But it's what you have to do. It's the box that we're kind of in at this racetrack, where it's really tight. There's only 2 lanes. The middle is pretty much death, so you don't really have that option of going to the middle. So your best move is to just kind of like find clearance on the top side and just get a run and force someone into the middle. And the guys that were able to do that effectively were the ones that were able to gain track position. So, I felt like for the most part it worked out for me. I was able to make a lot of those passes, which that didn't happen with the 07. I think that pretty much killed both of the middle parts of our races. But yeah, it's a big risk reward, but you have to do it if you want to make it to the front in these things, especially with how competitive the league is. Yeah, no question, and need every point. Wasn't able to race last week, unfortunately, and missed the season opener. So had a top 5 at Vegas, which was good. Had an unfortunate result at Fontana. So I mean, I know my back's kind of against the wall. I want to try to make a playoff run, make a championship run, but we're just gonna have to probably go for wins here between now and the end of the season. But it'll make it fun. It's been a blast. I've really enjoyed this league and getting to run the Cup car a little bit more. So whatever happens from here on out, I'm just going to kind of give it 110% the next few weeks and see where it shakes out.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be really the equalizer of everything, because you're gonna roll in, and you're gonna have Coda, and then you're gonna have a week or 2 off, and then you roll into Phoenix and Martinsville. It's the last 2 races. You got an intermediate and a short track to round things out before the playoffs start, and then you've just got so much diversity rolling through the playoffs. You've got a super speedway to start it out, and then you follow it up with a short track, and then you roll straight from the short track to the high banks of Kansas, and Kansas is always such a great track to go to, and then to round it out at Charlotte, you and I both talked about it, it's a great place to end the season out. And it's just going to be interesting to see how these things shake up, as well as with the points. You've got Sean Butler, who was outside looking in, and now he's in. So a lot of these guys, they don't have a lot more time to really try to figure their season out and if they're going to make it to the playoffs or not.
Well, Mike was muted here, Mike was muted there. It's a new setup, getting used to some new things and a new control center, if you will, at Pit Stop TV. But this race in the books, the Firelight 150, a big shout out to Josh Stiles. I had to think about that one for a moment. Sorry, Josh. A shout out to Josh Stiles and everybody else over at Firelight. A new ownership group, if you will, or at least new additions to the ownership group, bringing in Lefty, Noah Sweet, into that group. It's a team that I race for on iRacing. I did not expect them, though, to sponsor the last couple of races with Light Stuff last week for Rockingham, Light Stuff 125, and the Firelight 150 this evening at Atlanta. But check out Firelight Esports and Light Stuff and everything they have to offer. I certainly recommend doing so, and not just because I race there, but it is really a teaming community. A lot of great drivers joining week in, week out, it seems like. Adam Jocelyn, John Sedlak, and so many other drivers. There you see the finish there across the line with Stalknet. I think that's the white flag, rather. So the setup for the finish, I guess technically still the finish, Zach, but again, a big shout out to Firelight, everybody else over there. It certainly is appreciated, their efforts here behind the series, and of course a big shout out to the UFL and everybody, John Palmieri and everybody else behind the scenes making this league happen. We obviously wouldn't be here on a Wednesday night if not for their efforts talking about some virtual race cars. Let's check out some upcoming broadcasts. Next up, tomorrow night, we go to Southern National Motorsports Park in the virtual Lucama, North Carolina for the Tim's Corner special event continuation of their winter season. It is the TS Drilling iRacing Street Stock Showdown. Bit of a lengthy name, but all in all, returning, I think, 150 laps tomorrow at Southern National Motorsports Park in the Street Stock on iRacing. That is going to be a fun time. And then Monday evening, we continue on with late model coverage, the new late model stock car, as we go to North Wilkesboro Speedway for round 2 of their brand new season, brought to you by Race EPI and The Shop. And then Wednesday, Circuit of the Americas, Austin, Texas, round 6 of 12, Zach, right at halfway. And could be kind of a surprise winner next week. Almost, maybe not a wild card, but definitely not, maybe an ace, if you will. Not a wild card, but an ace. We're going to see somebody next week that has not won, I think, or we're going to see somebody show that already has one that they can get it done on a road course. Maybe Ryan Vargas, Matt Kemp, who knows. That is going to be a tough win to get, but if you're dominant on a road course, it's your time.
Yeah, you're more than likely going to see a lot of road course ringers show up when it comes to COTA. And then you've also got Monday with the late model stock cars. Just love the addition of the late model stock cars to iRacing. I hate that we're not covering the Legends on Monday anymore, but I do love that we're still covering short track series on Monday nights, and so many great places to follow along on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. All great places to follow along with Pit Stop TV. Obviously, YouTube right here where we do lots of the big broadcasts. Obviously, you can still also find the broadcasts on Twitch as well. And just so many great things in the pipeline coming up, especially with a lot of Legends stuff coming up that I know we're working on, and it's just going to be a great thing to see moving forward, honestly.
That it is, and something I just thought about, by the way, for COTA next week that we will have to keep our eyes on is the guy who won the pole this evening, Aaron Smith. Always runs stock cars and road courses. That is his kind of forte. Before we go, let's check out that replay of the finish. You can see it happening there in slow-mo. This is just after the start-finish line. So let's go back, Zach, and just get a quick look as to exactly everything that happened on that last lap. Starting off with, of course, how Zach Nichols fell back of Sean Butler trying to show his hand here, and Sean covers it up nicely on the bottom. Zach looked low, then tried to look high, and it just wasn't quite a well-timed effort. So Zach pushes him here through 3 and 4, and what happens here to the checkers?
He just makes that move in 3 and 4. He thought he had the run, and then all of a sudden the lap cars and everybody else come cycling back in, and that top line momentum just paid off. It's been paying off all race, and Butler was just able to get it done by a nose. You can see Vargas just going up and over. He goes into the wall. Stalknet hits him. He's up and riding on that passenger side and just falling down. Then, oh my goodness.
Crowd surfing there was Ryan Vargas. Thankfully comes back to rest on his wheels. Not that it really matters in iRacing, thankfully, but Let's check this out from the guys in the back. There was some crashing already happening, so we'll have to go back and check it out further. But Stalknet down low, far in front of him. That's a lap car at this point. And Stalknet just kind of rode it out to the finish. Palmieri squeezes through, and everybody just kind of piles in. Malillo in there.
The Belay was somewhere in there, getting in the wall back there. And
Everybody seemed like they were
wall.
somewhere in there.
Just a crazy topsy-turvy finish, honestly.
So,
Just-
I think I figured out why Pacioli finished 27th, that I didn't feel like it. Here's Pacioli in the last lap. Finishes 24 seconds behind the leaders, and this is why. Gets hooked, I think, or comes down the racetrack, one of the two, and there he goes into the inside wall. Not much of a hit down there, but comes back up on the racetrack. Does he get hit here? Oh, my, absolutely.
Oh, my goodness. Gabe
And-
Herschel, I think that was that hit him.
No, Herschel was
No,
out. That
Rotolo.
was
That
Cosman.
was Rotolo.
Cosman and Rotolo.
I saw someone spinning to the bottom, and I guess it was Rotolo. He just came flying in, not expecting to see Pacioli running up there on the top, especially after a wreck. And here we are on board with Rotolo. He's just fourth in line. They're just cruising. They know they're not really going to be in contention for the win. They're just trying to pull away with a good finish, good points today. And yeah, there's the spin. No checkup. They're just staying in it, rolling to the top. And oh my goodness.
They're racing for the
Yanocho.
checkers. I can't blame them.
You can see Yanocho up there just riding the wall, just trying to get back to the line. And they're still wrecking. You can see Ford Martin and Jonathan Taylor. Big hit.
There's Cosman to the line. He finishes 25th. Let's get that
Oh, he
replay
couldn't
then for
turn.
Ford Martin. And yeah, he couldn't turn.
turn.
Use the wall. Ford Martin there to the checkers was racing with Doug Denice and Jonathan Taylor and some others. You can see Aaron Smith side by side ahead of these guys. Once they come through the crash, things changed a lot as they were rolling up on Barrett Bolhemus, Paul Fode, and others. Now,
Jonathan
Paul
Taylor
Fode was a
like-
lap down in all this. That 88 car, the silver sides. There's the smoke ahead. They check up. Ford Martin trying not to lift. Oh, barely missed the 94. And then this was their battle to the checkers. And Ford Martin just turns up the racetrack and slams the 7 on the outside wall. Wow.
I think Jonathan Taylor was pinching him a little bit down there below the line, and Ford just said, "Nope, this is my spot."
Well, what a finish. Let's take another on board, then call this one a day. You mentioned Leighton Sabile was in there somewhere. Let's go on board with him here for the finish of the race.
And there's Pacioli spinning to the bottom, right behind Vargas in all of this. And there's the leaders fighting for that win, and they're just rolling up on. You got 2 lap cars in the middle. This is coming back to the line. You can see everyone fanning out, and then yeah, he just got into Austin Moore, and boom, there he goes into the wall, and gets it pointed back around the right direction, but it's after the flag, so not necessarily a major concern. No major damage, and still walks away with a good finish.
I lied. We're going to take one more on board. This will be Ryan Vargas there at the end. The next car in front of Leighton Sabile, but this is going to be one that I think we kind of have to take a look at before the night's done. Up on his side and up and over. Here's the onboard.
Roll on top. Sabile right behind him. Cybone right in front of him. Yeah, this is just coming back to the line. There's the finish again. There's the wrecking, and just keeps his foot in it. Thinks he's going to clear, and then boom. Palmieri just gets into him, and then all of a sudden another big hit right there. And yeah, crown surfing Andrew, just like you talked about, back down the racetrack, and then hello.
Chris Wetz
Inside
gives
wall.
Ryan Vargas a nice little high five there for his top 10 finish. P8 there for Ryan Vargas. A really solid finish, honestly, when it's all said and done. That will do it for us this evening from Atlanta Motor Speedway. We certainly do appreciate it. As always, Zach, I just want to say, I know you're under the weather, battling a sinus infection. Thank you for coming back from urgent care, I think, and joining us for this one. It certainly is appreciated. And hopefully...
Just fighting it a little bit, and you know, we're still, from the looks of it, I don't want to jinx anything. We're still on track as long as I can kick this to be rolling up to Pennsylvania this weekend for some dirt racing. You can catch it on Dirt Track TV, Dirt Track Digest. So that's gonna be super fun as long as we can get this kicked. But I'm so happy to be here, and just this league is just so fun to be able to commentate and broadcast with, and I'm looking forward to seeing how these guys roll through. and just it's going to be amazing once we get to the playoffs.
A big shout out to Whiplash Media SimCams, ATVL, and Short Track Weekly. That will do it for us this evening. From Atlanta Motor Speedway, the Firelight 150 goes to Sean Butler. Also mentioned in audio, ATVL, Whiplash Media SimCams, OBS, and iRacing.com. That will do it for us this evening. From Atlanta, we hope to see you next time, hopefully tomorrow night, potentially, for the TS Drilling iRacing Street Stock Showdown. Otherwise, we'll see you at COTA next week for the UFL Grand Prix.